Alright. I was a little worried OBS wasn't getting the game, but it's all good. Hello everyone! Welcome to Plugging Along, a stream dedicated to LOTRO plugins. Last time on Plugging Along, we returned to the Festival Buddy plugin since we're in the middle of the anniversary festival. We saw how to go about gathering the random strings of the fireworks announcer and started looking into why the fireworks frame doesn't disappear when you complete the fireworks and brie quest. And today we're going to go ahead and incorporate the French and German strings we've gathered, test them out, and then return to that fireworks frame. And as Little Red had mentioned, tonight is the first night of Eurovision, which is going to start in not that long. So I'm going to stream for about an hour today, give or take, and then I'm going to go off a line and get some dinner and prepare to watch music happening. All right, and in chat, Sko says, hello, welcome. Okay, so what do we have? We have found ourselves in Glenhelig. I'm quite fond of this area of the Notshire, Swanfleet. And we're going to go ahead and pull up a couple of things. If you're not familiar with it, the Festival Buddy plugin is not going to be happy because I ripped away some files it needs. There we go. Let's try that. The Festival Buddy plugin requires that you have the turbine files in place in your plugins directory. As we saw with DTracker a while back, it is possible to incorporate those files you need from Turbine into your own code base so that you do not have that external dependency. And I'm really looking forward to incorporating that in some of the other plugins that I work with. But Festival Buddy hasn't had that treatment yet. So, whenever you see a sign saying things like attempt to call global class a nil value, that means you need to make sure your turbine class files are installed. Well, what does that mean? Well, most of the things where you'll see that error message will actually instruct you on where to find these things in the first place. So if we come on up here and go to Festival Buddy, I bet the installation instructions might say something about that. Maybe. They do not. Okay. No problem. It is nice when the instructions include that dependency. Sometimes they do, and they'll say go install it like this. Regardless, if you search for Turbine in the LOTRO interface site, and you're looking for Turbine classes and examples, Galahad, you have updated those. I'm curious. Why does that say updated? What did you change? Oh well. Anyway, all three of these I think are functionally identical. They have the same things under the covers, so it doesn't really matter which one you do. Galahad is a fine one to download though. So you just download that, put the what you downloaded. It'll say Turbine files, and in there you'll see Turbine, and this is what you'll put into your plugins folder. Okay, once you have that, you can load. And then Festival Buddy is all about helping you out at various festivals. And during the anniversary festival, if you're doing fireworks in brie, then it's going to give you a helper frame that will highlight the various fireworks skills that you are supposed to be using at a given time. Let's go ahead and get ourselves to brie, since it is nighttime. It's foredawn. Uh-oh. I did not plan this out well. May want to nip off to another server and see if a different server's got more nighttime available. There's no guarantee that any particular servers have the same in-game time. For instance, on Evernight, it could be the middle of the day or the middle of the night. I suspect, but I do not know for sure, that whenever they turn they bring the server down for maintenance, whenever they power it up, it starts at the same time of day, I would guess. Or perhaps the same time of day as when it logged off. So right now it is nighttime foredawn, Tellurian, on Treebeard. Let's see. Can I do a slash time of day? Nope, just current time. I'm so used to having a Titan bar, which will tell me how long it is until the next one. So let's just do an example of that. I'm going to pull up the LOTRO plugin compendium. And I'm going to go ahead and add a new plugin of Titan bar. Oh, and Little Redhead's going to go check Quick Hollow. Thank you very much. So when I install Titan bar, I can go ahead and load it up. And Titan bar. Oh, I'm going to have to tell it things. My goodness. Tell you what, I will just steal my old setup files. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and load this. There we go. So we can see it's 1 minute before dawn here, which is suboptimal for testing the fireworks quest. But I'll pick it up anyway. So we can see that we get a helper bar here. Festival buddy. And the next time he says something, we should also see some helper borders. Well, I hear it's afternoon, says Delirian. Okay. 27 minutes until Avendrote. Okay, no problems. Send up a green one. Really? Of course, I didn't actually say anniversary. Well, that's going to be a poor demonstration if I don't set it up correctly. Okay, so anniversary, fireworks and brie. We've got 52 whole seconds, no problem. And so what we want to see is this border right here lighting up. And so that'll give you the 18 seconds worth of time that you have to get it done. And then it will disappear, showing you that if you did start it now, you would run over the start of the next valid firework. Right there. So there's a 2-second induction on the fireworks. Anything but red, super easy. And one of the things I want to do is move the text on screen so it doesn't overlap the quest progression text. But we can do that after 4 dawn is over. And we can see in 10 seconds here, we're going to hit dawn. At that point, our 2 hobbits over here are probably going to take their place. My quest will fail. Bong, up, I failed the quest. And if I wanted to, I could talk to these hobbits before they start walking. Apparently. Okay, so that's the general idea of what we're looking for the fireworks assistant. It's just a, hey, you missed what the text was, you don't have to worry about it, we'll tell you how long you have and what things if you want. And if you don't want to use it, you don't have to. So, we only have the English text in there. Oh, there they go. Oh, I can't wave at them. It's serious business time. Fair enough. I'm going to wait on this fence. Okay, yeah, so let's go look at the code and see how we're doing that. Now, some people will do more complicated ways of text parsing. I went with the very easy route of just saying, here are the however many, 39, 40 different things that the announcer says, and here's what they mean. That it requires more explicitly spelling these things out, but it means that you don't have to devise regular expressions or patterns in Lua to deal with them. So, in our strings, we have an English array for fireworks announcement, and it looks like this. So this is what we're looking to do. Now, we're going to do some text transformation here, and we're looking to make it look like this, and we do have just these raw strings like this. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and copy these over. And what I want to do is transform each of these so it looks similar to the one up here. So we want to start them all. So what I did is started a multi-select in my editor. All of these start with the German word for fireworks announcer. Probably something like Feuerwerksansager. And so we just do a multi-select based on that. Find all of these and select them independently. and then we can navigate the cursor based off of those selections. So go to the beginning of the line, start with a brace and a quote. We're also looking at the end of the line. To make it easier on the parsing, the chat comes in with the new line included, and I can either go through the trouble of stripping it off, or I can just include it in this text. No problem. And then end quote, end bracket, equals. And now I don't actually know what they're going to equal yet, so I'm just going to say unknown for a moment. Now I could go through the process of, reasoning out each of these based off of my limited knowledge of Dutch. But instead, I'm just going to have something like Google Translate do it instead. So, bring over the Google Translate, paste those in, and instead of Dutch, detect language, and I want to go to English. Great. And then we have the cheat sheet. And we can just take this. Let's see. I'm going to copy that into a smaller footprint. And this is probably, if you can trust it, we had a Google Translate issue the other day where it was changing things it was not supposed to change and causing problems. So we're going to go ahead and just work our way down. Not the time for blue fireworks. Cool. Delirium does warn, if SSG can tweak these messages, they'll try to fix localization issues, but because we're doing a straight up comparison, is it exactly equal to this character by character, any change, even adding or removing a space, changing a comma to a semicolon, any of it breaks it. And that's just the nature of the beast. And then someone notices and they let you know and you fix it. Okay, so we want to go ahead and bring these in. Delirium says, I might tell you if you want to do it that way. Nah. This is all about how would someone do it if they didn't have someone who speaks fluent German in the chat. Quote, German equals. But thank you for the offer. And we paste these in. Now, obviously, the unknowns don't work, but we can come through here and say, okay, these are no's, the first one. So no blue. The next one is no yellow. Not the time for yellow. I'm going to slide that over so my neck doesn't have to turn so much. This is not the time for yellow. This is not the time for green. And this is not the time for red. And then we just do a little quick sanity check. Das ist nicht. Okay, cool. We've got the negation here. It's not the time for blue, yellow, green, and red. Awesome. So just a little bit of a cross-checking to make sure that Google Translate isn't deceiving us. Because it is not perfect, but it's good enough for our purposes. Next one. Now is not the time for idleness. So we have a nicht in here, but it's not negating the fireworks. It's negating your laziness. So in this case, we want a blue yes. Awesome. Same thing. We want a set off your yellow. So yellow yes. Set off your green. Green yes. And red yes. Set off some red fireworks. Awesome. And that's just what we're doing. We're just going through each of these and converting the textual form to a internal form that's yes or no. Yes or no, and what color. And once we have this value, the rest of the logic is unchanged. Once you've pattern matched this in chat, it fires off the logic, and so this is the only place we care about the language. Okay, so next one. Let's dazzle the public. Uns das Publikum mit einem Beitrag verprüfen. Das nicht blau ist, gelb, grün, rot. Excellent. So we're going back to negation. So not blue, not yellow, not green, and red, no. Awesome. Okay. This is positive with specific colors. The public with blau, gelb, okay, cool. So, blue. And once you've got the alphabetical order of these, because they are so similar to each other, nope, Don't actually care about that. Once we've got that order of blue, yellow, green, red, we're probably going to be seeing that a fair amount. And we're seeing that in both the positives and the negatives. Blue, yellow, green, red, blue, yellow, green, red. It's not the same order as English just because it is sorting based off of that first letter. And so chelibus and chrunus are just coming out differently. Okay, so that was that set. The next one is missing one. So this is where we could try to construct a fourth one just in case they, realize that it's missing. So we can see we have are missing the red one, and this is true in English as well. In the English version of these fireworks, I've only ever seen 39. I have not seen this specific one, but I know what it would be if it did come, even though this is German. So we're going to go ahead and paste this, and we can see we're looking for rot. And that's what it would look like if it ever appeared. Not seen in practice. Cool. But same thing. We have quick set off of fireworks that aren't. We're negating the color. And so we're going back to blue no, yellow no, green no, and red no. So they're going to ask which one is missing. This one. This one, I don't see it in the English. I didn't see it in the German. The French ones, I wasn't able to correlate as closely to the English as I could the German. But you can see there's sets of 4, one for each color in the pattern. And then there's just 4 of each, and there's 10 different versions of these, except here, this one is never actually seen by the fireworks announcer. And I think it's probably just internally an oopsie on the part of SSG that they meant it to be there and it just never was there. So this one, we know what it should be if the fireworks announcer is going to call out quickly set off a fireworks that's not red. This is what it would look like based on these other ones, but we just don't see it. That's fine. These little edge cases, I think the only ones who ever notice it are people who are doing plugins. And so it's not that it's missing in German, it's that it was missing in English, and therefore the German had nothing to translate. It's also possible that internally the string is there, but the fireworks announcer is going from 1 to 39 instead of 1 to 40, or 0 to 38 instead of 0 to 39, and that one just happened to be the last one. So it could be there internally, and yet it's never seen in practice because the announcers just never hit that one. Or it was just never created in the first place because there's 40 of these suckers and your eyes kind of glaze over after a while. And unless you're doing something like this where you're really taking a lot of time on these specific strings, well, people working at the actual games company have much better things to do than verify that they did in fact get all 40 of these variations. So if they spent more than a few minutes just sort of glancing over it, then I guess I'd be surprised. That doesn't feel like a great use of time. So I totally understand if it was just an oopsie on the part of whoever was writing these strings. So many possibilities, though. Absolutely. We don't know why we're not saying it, but we have some hypotheses. Cool. Okay. So we got another Chanel. So set off some. This is positive and listing out specific colors. So we're back to the blue, yes, yellow, yes, green, and red. Awesome. Next one. Oh, someone was asking me to salute them. But where? Oops. Gotta be outside business. There we go. That's the first time in a while I've been asked to salute someone or emote at them for deed purposes. Cool. So if you do not know, there are hidden deeds based off of either receiving emotes from other players, or nowadays you can also emote at NPCs to get credit. And you can get usually 5 per day, sometimes as low as 2. And then you have to do it basically 20 days worth. And so for the 5s, you're looking for 100 of those. For the 2s, you're looking for 40 of those. It works out to about the same thing. So each day for 20 days, if you get these emotes emoted at you, or if you're emoting them at NPCs, then at the end of that, you will complete these deeds and usually get a title or some sort of a skill. You'll find those in your race and social. And just going to scroll down a little bit. And there'll be lore-based deeds. And so the alluring, you get a title, befuddling, beloved, cool. But then the fire breather, you have, I forget what the emote is, but you get fire breath, or whatnot. And so yeah, the hero pose emote you get from whatever it is. Yeah, maybe slash laugh. Unfortunately, the deeds here are a little lacking in information about what it takes to get them, but you can always go into something like the D-Tracker plugin, which will have a little bit more information. So if we pop that open and come to Class Race Epic, Race and Social, and come down to the emotes, we can see the Fire Breather one, you have to /cheer, as it turns out. Or the hero, it is /bow. And once you've received that, given it to NPCs, you'll get usually a title, sometimes an emote. And that's nice to have. Plus it crosses off a whole bunch of deeds all in one go. And you can do that like basically probably when you're novice, maybe even at level 1 if you start thinking about it. And so they're very early things that you can get to kind of enhance your emotive and title experience. Awesome. Okay. We're out of the quicklies, the schnells, and how about a blue one, light it now? And how about these? So we're back to the positives. Okay. So blue yes, yellow yes, green yes, and red yes. Then we get on in to the something other than. So we're saying andram, so we're alternatives, so we negate those. And we're back to blue no, yellow no, green no, and red no. Fantastic. Do remember to paste it correctly. Fortunately, using Visual Studio Code combined with the LOTRO API extension, or in this case the Lua extension, I'm getting some very fast IntelliSense when with these squiggles when I have mistyped something. Highly recommended as an alternative to anything without IntelliSense. You prevent a lot of runtime errors that way. Okay. Set off blue fireworks and times firework. Now is the right time. Okay, cool. So this is all positives. So blue yes, yellow yes, green yes, and red yes. Great. And the final one. Naturally, this is a lot easier when you're doing ones in a language that you speak, but again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but a Google Translate style solution or an automatic translation of the system, or just kind of guessing and then trying it out, will get you a long way. All right, light anything but blue fireworks. And Asura einem blauen Fireworken. Okay, so we're still in the negation on this final one. So blue, helle, groen, and rot. Okay. Something I have basically zero effective knowledge of is conjugating things in German. So I realize that there is, because we're using the colors as adjectives here, that they are being conjugated differently than the noun forms up here. But I don't have a good sense of how to do that. So it's in my head that this is the adjectival form of the color and these are the noun forms of the color. But you know, why are these ones presumably plural? I don't know. So you just got to sort of run with it. Okay, because fireworks was plural. Okay, interesting. So adjectives looks like they will change form based off of the singular or plural? No, because firework is singular. Yeah, I don't know. I like looking at languages and wondering, but I accept that I don't actually know. Okay, cool. So what we have here are the German strings, and we've correlated each one of those into what the plugin needs to go further with the logic. Aaron Bard says, this isn't plugin related, but do you happen to know what can cause the sound of a band playing music to drop parts of notes? I've removed all filtered sounds, but that didn't fix it. Please skip if out of channel scope. It's about LOTRO. It's probably in scope. Short answer is, I do not know. And the slightly longer answer is, I don't know, but I would guess that music is somewhat dependent on network connection and processor power of the computer, both playing the music and the computer hearing the music. And so there's, and Little Redhead points out that the game can only play so many sounds at once. So depending on whether you're talking about a really complicated piece or a really simple piece, that could direct the answer. But for you to hear that music in my head, let's say Little Redhead was playing a piece of music. So Little Redhead's computer has to tell the servers, hey, I'm playing this note. And the server has to receive that. The server has to pass that on to you. You have to receive it. And then your computer has to play it before the duration of that note should expire. And so there's a lot of moving parts there. And I would guess that it's something to do with something in that long chain of things. Like the Red says, I'm starting an E and it should last until this timestamp. And the server says, cool, I'll let everyone know. And it lets everyone know. And everyone plays an E until that timestamp. And if any part of that breaks down, it seems like you would not hear the note. The fact that it actually works as well as it does, as often as it does, kind of astonishes me for a system like that. But we get some pretty cool music. Little Redhead was at a Green Dragon Friday, maybe? No, she was at a concert, and it sounded like they had managed to make music sound like it was not coming from an LOTRO. Like it did not sound like, didn't have that LOTRO sound to it. Like they'd done some really nice instrumentations. Very cool. Not that it sounded like you're in LOTRO is a bad thing for music, but it had a different sound to it, and kudos to whoever orchestrated. Anyway, so we have our German, and at that point we would want to go ahead and prepare our French strings as well. So we come in here first. Let's go ahead and make this table. Loretta says it was one of the oaks. Awesome. Yeah. As a practitioner, Little Redhead is much more engaged in the music scene than I am, and the music system than I am. But I think both of us are kind of naive as to what goes on under the covers to make it all work. Little Red thinks it was the French group with the white outfits and the white birds. Yeah, that sounds right. Oh yeah, because the peacocks kept on putting their fans up in front of the band or something. All right, so we have French. Oh, we can go ahead and delete the German announcements here because they are incorporated in. And now we have the French announcements. And so one of the things I failed to do was to kind of isolate which ones went together. And so I'm going to start by pasting them in here. And this is an important thing. The French strings will often use a different space character. Not exclusively, because we can see they have normal spaces as well, but they also have ASCII code A0. So whenever you're curious about that, you might be able to pull up an ASCII table. Oh, well, mother, that's not great. Hang on a sec. Okay, so that's extended. Great. Stop it. A0. Awesome. ASCII code 160. Fantastic. So there's an alternative space that's used in a lot of these French strings. I assume it is good and correct and all that for those people playing on the French client, but it is not visibly different than a space in a lot of editors. So if I were to take this string and copy it into something like Notepad, notice that you can't tell that it is a different space. It just is a space. And so if you don't remember to treat it as a different space, if you're ever needing to, and you just say, oh yeah, there's a space after dit, you are wrong. There is not a space after dit. There is a space after dit. And so recommend, again, getting yourself an editor that understands the difference in some way. So notice that if we copy this into a Lua string here, like this, then we can see that Visual Studio Code will also highlight that it is a different white space character. It is not going to tell us which white space it is the way Sublime Text is doing it inline here, but it will at least highlight it out. And at some point, it'll give some sort of warning like, hey, you've got different types of white space in here. Do you care? But yeah, Tellurian says Hazer is just the 128 plus the 32. Yeah, I assume there's a good reason for it, for having two different spaces. Just like, English has, M dashes and N dashes. Like, yeah, there's reasons for it. But having two different things that look identical and are both invisible, just a little extra challenge. Oh, Agartha is pointing out that is a non-breaking space. Sure. Yeah, the way it's being used here would certainly, you could want that. If your grammar has you putting spaces between the last word of the sentence and the exclamation point, then if you didn't want the exclamation point to just trail off onto the next line, yeah, you'd want a non-breaking space there. Is a different question of whether or not your grammar should have a space between that last word and punctuation, but presumably it does, and since it does, this is a way to kind of force it to keep those together, whereas in older manual type settings, you would just know. But you've got to tell the computer, no, these have to go together. Okay, cool. Thanks for reminding me that that's a non-breaking space. Yeah, Agartha points out HTML also has a non-breaking space. That's where I'm familiar with it. I'm so used to writing the ampersand MBSP semicolon that I forget that there's other representations of it. So, non-breaking space ASCII. Fantastic. Microsoft would say it's also a non-breaking space. Very cool. Okay, thank you for reminding me about those things. So yes, the presence of it is necessary if the grammar of your language says to put a space after your things, and then computers dumbly say, hey, spaces, we can wrap there. Maybe the French language should have thought of that before making their language that way 500 years ago. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what we want to do is the same thing. We're going to take these and run them through just an auto-translate. I'm using Google Translate, just sort of a default. There's numerous options out there. We're going to copy that and then, again, just bring it into its own window as something a little bit easier to work with. But in this one, we're going to go ahead and do that transformation again. And all of these start with animateur, or some variation of that. My French pronunciation is worse than my German, and I apologize to people who can tell that it's bad. Okay, so what we want to do is start a multi-select, and at the beginning of the line, we're going to go ahead and do a bracket start quote. We're going to go to the end of the line, and if we start with a double quote, Sublime Text will sometimes be like, oh, you want a pair of double quotes, and the answer is no, not in this case. Depending on what characters are between the two, it can auto-detect that, oh no, it's fine, don't do that. Apparently with French, it doesn't have that. And we want to remember to end the line with an equals unknown, which will give us a nice squiggly line. Shai says, translation looks fine. Excellent. Fortunately, we only need the translation to get close enough. Are we getting tabs? Oh. Why are we getting tabs? This whole section has tabs. Oh my goodness. Oh, there's a bunch more of tabs. Okay, this file is stuffed full of tabs. Not a fan, but it is what it is. Okay, so here we have our basic strings here. When possible, I like to group like things like here's the how a bright X1 launch it now. How about something besides whatever? And in English, they nest together very nicely, probably because they were written in English. The German ones also nest together very nicely in sets of 4. And the French ones, it felt like I couldn't as easily do that. And so I wanted to take a little time looking at the auto-translated versions of those to see, is there like, oh, there's a random quickly here. Are there other quicks that are missing something? Like quickly send a green, hi, okay, cool. This isn't blue, non-yellow, non-green, so we're missing a non-red. But we were missing, that one that we're missing here is a not red. So that could just be the one we're missing. Cool. And so, but we have this one sitting here all alone. What is that one? It's time to wow. Any other wows? Wow. Okay. Red firework to wow, yellow to light, blue. Okay, I'm going to pretend like that one comes on down here, in which case that's the 3rd set from the end, I believe. No, 4th. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Great. But what order are these normally? Blue goes first. Okay. But the variation here, I don't know whether it's more fluent in French to do it this way, or the person who's translating just didn't appreciate symmetry quite the way I do. Okay, so now is not the time. Now is not the time to rest. Send whatever you want, except. And then this chunk here, wasn't sure what was going on there. And then we have some more 4s. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I assume we can kind of separate them out. We have 3 envoy, sorry. And we'll see how those go, and then, 4 of those, and then 4 other ones. So we'll just kind of hope that is sensible. So what do we have? Now is not the time to shoot blue, shoot anything else. Awesome. So we're going to start with a not blue. What's the ordering here? Yellow, red, green. Awesome. Yellow, red, and green. And I'm going to mess that up at some point and put in green and red. Now, hopefully, once we've got these going in French, then I'm going to collapse the German one so I don't see that. Okay, so that's the first 4 of these. Okay, now is not the time to rest. Launch a specific one. Okay, so we're looking at blue, yes. Yellow, red, green. Yellow, red, and green. And I'm going to collapse German now because we have each of our yeses and nos. Okay, send whatever you want except a color. Awesome. I know French so little, I'm not even sure where the negation is happening in this sentence. It says except, so I assume what I'm going to call south. Okay, Shai says south. Yes, it's except. Cool. Fantastic. So we want blue no, yellow no, red no, and green no. Awesome. Send out a red firework. So these are positives. Send out yellow, send out green. Quickly send a green. Uh-oh. So, all right, so send out a red. This is a red, yes. A yellow, okay. Yellow, yes. Vert, we got a green, yes. And another vert. Fantastic. So this might be in the wrong quartet. Because normally we're used to, we're missing a red yes. So we're going to keep an eye out for that. We also know that there's that this was the first set of that 8 that was sort of a big question mark. Shai says, line 226, faux should be faux since it is singular. I believe you, but these were recorded by the French announcer saying things. So this is a case where the game probably has a typo, and we must match it as a plugin. But I wondered about that too. When I see that little exceptions like that, it's like, is this a French grammar thing? Because I don't know enough about French grammar to even have an opinion. Or is this, oops, the people at SSG had a typo? So it sounds like a typo. Oh, I better hurry up with these French strings because we've got less than half an hour. Yeah, so Shai, one of the things I really encourage anyone who's dealing with plugins is type as little as possible. Copy paste from the game, dump chat channels to a text file and copy from there. Copy paste as much as you can, because if you're going to type things, you're going to miss your non-breaking spaces. If you don't know better, if you're an English speaker, you're not going to be thinking, oh, this needs a non-breaking space. You're going to accidentally type an X where there shouldn't be, or vice versa. You're going to type an apostrophe, and the software that you're using is going to be like, do you want a smart apostrophe? And the answer is no. I actually had that the other day. I was building up an Excel formula for a board game that we were playing that I was doing a thing. And so the sample code on this website for an Excel formula, they had written it with quotes, and then that got corrected to curly quotes, right? Like those little smart quotes. And it caused an error in Excel, because Excel's like, no, that's not valid. I was like, oh, of course. What was I thinking? But because I blindly copy-pasted, in that case, it was the opposite problem, where they had put the wrong quotes in, or their software had added it for them. Tillarian says, in the English version, is this the last fireworks announcers without the plurals? This is just what Google Translate gave me. I give it no credit for getting it correct. But the answer is that's coming from this one, and the French is identical, right? It's an amateur. The fireworks presenter. There's no obvious reason why it would go singular on that one and not the 38 others. Which is why Google translates it maybe a starting point, but it's not an ending point. Okay, cool. So we have the next set. We're going to go ahead and delete these for now. So this is yes green. Yep, I see the Verta. So we have another green yes. Yes red. Okay, that should be blue. I think I said red earlier. We have another one for a green. So we need a yes green. What? Does anyone know if this quest works for French people? And a blue. What's going on here? Dillian says, just wanted to know if that was intentional, but it was Google-ish. Yeah, absolutely. This is just I'm going to use a rough translation to get a sense of, are these positive or negative, and which color do they go to? And then I'm going to use some double checking to say, oh, at least I know that vert, sorry about the pronunciation, vert is green in French, and blue, and rouge, and jaune. Sorry. In English, we have jaundice, and it's the same color. Okay, cool. So we're going to go ahead and minimize that. Oh, thank you, Shai. Yes, that should have been blue yes. I copied it from the wrong chunk, because it's been a while since we saw blue yes. Good catch. Thank you. Okay. Fire something that isn't blue, red, yellow, red, or green, so we're doing some negation, and we're back into where we've got a formulaic text here. And this is where, if you were doing pattern matching instead of just here's every string possible, you'd be like, oh, cool. all of this is the same except for the colors. We could both match the pattern and pull out the color in one go. But I'm not going to. Okay, so these are negations, and so we're going to do a blue no, yellow no, red no, and a green no. Awesome. Okay, coming back in. Fire out blue, now's the first time. Fire red, fire yellow, fire another blue. Great. This is an indication that one of these is probably going to go live, swap around. But we can see these are all positive, and so we're going to do a blue yes. Wait a second. Am I where I think I am? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. When in doubt, retranslate. Now, Google's not going to do great with all of the code in there, but it should just ignore it. Okay, fire up blue, fire up blue. Okay. So, where did it get red from? Not sure. Let's not worry ourselves too much with that. Okay, so time to wow the spectators with blue. Great. Another blue yes. Great. Red yes. And yellow yes. Awesome. Okay. Something other than. So we've got negations going on. Okay, so we got blue no, yellow no, red no, and green no. Awesome. Finally, well, not finally. Finally, before the finally, we have quick send up blue, yellow, red, yellow. Fantastic. Blue, yes. Yellow, yes. Red, yes. And yellow, yes. And finally, send something that isn't blah. So we've got our blue no. We've got our yellow no. And we've got our green no. The red no isn't there, and we could try to construct it if we wanted to, same as before. So if we pasted this in, what we're looking for is probably rouge in this case. That would be our red no. And again, go ahead and mark it as we're faking it, but just for completion's sake. But I think based on how we have the colors in other situations, that's fine. But bonus point, if it's wrong, it won't matter because we never see it. Okay, so what I do want to do, now that we've got those in here, is see if we can sort out that mixing up of things a little bit. These all seem like they belong together, and we have one of each. Awesome. Same thing here, blue, yellow, red, green. Blue, yellow, red, green. Same thing here. We're missing a blue here. Is there an envoyage where we have a blue? Blue, yes, specifically. Well, the answer is no, but this one definitely seems out of place. And then our greens are just all sorts of off. I'd like to sort this out, but I'm really unsure that I can. So right, like we have green, red, green, blue. Okay, cool. Which one of these greens doesn't belong? And the answer is, but ultimately, this is just an aesthetics purpose, thing, where it doesn't really matter, right? And it's only for some of these. I would say blue, yellow, red, green, blue, yellow, red, green. So here, blue, yellow, red, green, we're going to actually kind of extract the ones that are weird. That one, not this one. This one has duplicates. This one has duplicates. So it's just these three, right? So if one wanted to straighten this out, one would have to sort these specific three out. So we have red, yes, red, yes, red, yes. There's one in each. Cool. Yellow, yes. We're missing one. Aha. Need to include this then. Okay, so red, yes, there's one in each of them. Awesome. Yellow, yes, we can see there's an extra one down here. And it needs to go into this group, the second group here. Okay, let's make that a little bit bigger. So one of these two needs to swap in up here where we have blue, red, yellow. We're missing a green. So one of these greens needs to swap down. One of these yellows needs to swap up. Except these all start with vitae. So what on earth? But why not? We'll do the one that doesn't start with the same two words. So we have red, yellow, and then green. Which one of these greens? Why not this one? So again, we have red, yellow, green, blue, red, yellow, green, blue, red, yellow, green, green. Right. And so this is where we need to, again, swap one of these greens with one of these blues. We take this quickly. Yeah, so why is it three quicklies and a not quickly? I don't know, but the answer is maybe this green should be somewhere else. But yeah, doesn't make sense. Not to me. So red, yellow, green, green. Awesome. So let's take this one down into the third quarto and get one of these extra blues back up. This one is the weirdest one, or the stands out. Red, yellow, green, blue. Red, yellow, green, blue. Red, yellow, green, blue. Red, yellow, green, blue. So this is how I would put them together, but the patterns are all gone, right? Like these three have the same second half of the sentence, but this one does not. This does not exist anywhere else. Except at the beginning over here, there's three of them over here that have it and one doesn't. Three of these have it, one doesn't. The exceptions here are so odd, and it's fine. Right? Like it doesn't have to make sense for my purpose, but I don't understand. And so that's how I would rearrange these naively. But I think since it doesn't matter, and since I have no good reason for the rearrangements that I did, other than to have one of each color in each quartet, It's just, I'm not going to commit that. I'm just going to keep it the way it was. But this is weird to me, and I don't know why it is. Okay, let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. So if a French person wants to come along and help me clean these up, be delighted. But in the meantime, doesn't matter. Order doesn't matter. All that matters is the thing is here, and we translate into an internal representation of it that works. So what we would like is for a server to be on nighttime. Man, sometimes I wish I had access to the admin servers, right? The internal servers where I could just change the time of day. Anyone on a server right now that's nighttime? Kirkall's nighttime? It was nighttime. A minute till 4 dawn? Yeah, there's no way it's still night.
Yeah, sorry, it was when I got here.
No, it's fine. Well, here was afternoon a while back. Shai asked, do you have the same problem in English? No, for whatever reason, probably at least because the text was Guahir starting fireworks soon. Thank you. I don't know if I have a character on Guahir yet. Maybe I'll see if Evernight's running at nighttime. Okay, so in the English, there are 10 quartets. One of them is missing. So, you had to create it. I forget which one, but, it's the red no somewhere. Let's see. So it was one of the red no's. So you see 39 of these strings, and they're all very formulaic. And it feels like the French just went for a little bit more variety. Oh, it's Midnight and Evernight. Sweet. Thanks, Agatha. I knew Evernight would be there for me. It is Evernight. Okay, so Fingerhood's Clouden here is going to hopefully have left the introduction, so I can go off to Bree. We'll see. Yes, red noses like Rudolph, says Agatha. Okay, so hey, anniversary celebration has arrived. Get it. I want to talk to Wenda. I want to have a mount. Fingerhood's Clouden could have a mount, but we have some alts for music purposes, and I have not bothered to go get writing skills with them.
Yeah, we should drag them down to the plus.
Should take advantage of Hunter travel off to Swanfleet. But hey, let's get a silver present. So we're going to go open up the plugins manager and load the Festival Buddy plugin. Accidentally close it with the escape key and then load it with the /festival command. We're going to load up the anniversary festival. And come on over here. Hey, young Brandybuck. I don't feel like I should be able to see your ring. Okay, accept. Now, when you first accept this quest, the framework just shows up somewhere. And so it is on you to drag it over on top of the in-game framework. And once you've done that, it's all good. What do you want? Anniversary event. I see. Okay, so at that point, we can just launch fireworks. But we already know that English works. We're going to go ahead and switch over to a different language. Should have done that in the first place. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is exit Fingerhood's Cloud. And in general, you want to avoid patching the game while the game is running. So what we want to do is exit on out from here as well. Oh, Shai asks, does Landerval still exist? As is being answered in chat, yes, Landerval is still there, and there's a big music scene there. Okay. So we're just waiting for LOTRO to clear out. Usually, if you switch between languages, LOTRO will want to go ahead and update its strings file, if not more, and it'll complain if it tries to do that while the strings file is in use by LOTRO. So anytime you're going to go patch, make sure you've exited out of all of your clients that are running on that executable. Since Bullroar and the standard client are two completely separate installations, you could be patching one while the other's running or vice versa and probably not see any problems. I tend not to do that. Unfortunately, my main character has completed every deed and quest almost that is available, and so logging off can take a minute. Okay, so it has fully exited, and so when you are changing languages, you are just using this button up here. It'll be the abbreviation for whatever your default language is. And so for me, it's EN for English. Just click it to get a drop down for either German or French. We're going to go ahead and start with German. And yes, it does indeed want to patch. At least a little bit. While we're at it, we'll go ahead and switch on over to French and see if we clear that same message. That was interesting. Aha. Could not patch file. Apparently I did it just a little bit too fast. When that happens, and it does occasionally happen, come on into your program files down to Standing Stone Games, into Lord of the Rings Online, and the file in question that it's having trouble writing to is the strings file. I think. Where did I put that? Hey, make that message happen again. Core strings, of course. So it's saying could not patch a core strings file, access is denied. If you get that, you can come on down to the core strings file in here. We can see I've already had this problem for a while. And just come in and just rename it to something like .bak. So you still have it, you haven't fully deleted it. But if that file is missing when the launcher comes up, nope, I have to say yes when it asks to elevate. If that file is missing, then it's going to get downloaded. And I'm curious what happens if the starting version it downloads is French instead of English. So I guess we'll see. Okay, so we can see it went ahead and updated all of those, and the core strings is back to 20 kilobytes. Everything seems fine. That can happen if you're bipping back and forth between languages a little bit too quickly. Okay, so we are in German, and we're going to pop onto Evernight. Awesome. Yeah, sure. I agree. 7 minutes to Eurovision pre-show. Oh no! Okay, so we're going to hop on. We're going to verify that this works at least once on German, and we'll get the idea. That's exactly what you want to do for German and French, is just hop on, let it run for 10 or 15 minutes, just see that you're getting some of the variations that you are expecting to get. It's okay if you don't wait for all 39 variations. There's no guarantee you're going to see them within a single fireworks show anyway. But just to see, oh, it looks like they're asking for blue, it looks like they're asking for red, in the positive, in the negative, and am I seeing that being reflected in my helper? So let's go ahead and... I can't do /plugins manager because it is different in German, but you can still use the caret menu to get there and to load. We're going to go ahead and make sure we have the fireworks in Brie here. And take a look. Yep, I do need to do specialization. Okay, obviously something's not quite right because we did not get the text that we're looking for. Oh, maybe internally we are not trying to do that in non-English languages. That would be a way to avoid breaking it. Let's come on in and see where these would be used. We're looking for fireworks announcements. Okay. Okay, so we get the raw text, awesome. We alert on the message. Where does handle fireworks announcer come from? Okay, if should process chat, brief fireworks. I don't know what that means. Okay, cool. That's a reasonable function. So we're going to just go ahead and do a turbine.shell.writeLine for the raw text. Raw text. And we're going to go ahead and reload our plugin. I should stop closing that plugin manager because I can't do it with chat commands easily. So we load, we have fireworks and brie, and then we're going to go ahead and just pull the chat tab over here. Ideally, we'd have a standard one set up, but we do not. So we're going to get everything. Okay, so we see the raw text. Awesome. Do we have that? We do have that. Awesome. The only question is those end-line characters. Is it possible we're missing one of those? Okay, let me go ahead and delete these. So in the chat logger, we have the raw. So if string text, then we go ahead and turbine.shell.writeLine. Found it. Otherwise, we're going to have another one. And that will be the end of this. If you have any last minute thoughts, comments, questions, or concerns, now's a great time to get them in because I'm going to be heading off to Eurovision very shortly. No match. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and unload these things. Load Festival Buddy. And again, we're looking both for that raw text, so we need the next one. And it says no match. So we've got a problem. And it might be something as simple as umlauts don't work with this comparison. Oh, we can see, aha, we need NPC fireworks announcers in other languages, perhaps. Let's go ahead and split this out so it's a little bit more obvious to see, and then we're going to be taking a look at that. Okay, Mortar says, I missed this game so much. Favorite MMO stole my heart 15 years ago. Well, there's plenty available in free-to-play if you have the time, but I know sometimes we just don't have the time in our lives. At the very least, you get a chance to revisit it a little bit in stream form. Okay, I'm not seeing too much else coming into chat. Florian says, German fireworks announcer is not, and apparently neither is the Russian. Excellent. So that's what needs to be changed, is instead of fireworks announcer, the German needs to be Feuerwerksansager, and then the French might very well be correct. Yep. So, German was never going to work. Fantastic. All right, we'll give it one more shot. Oh, sorry, I had changed over, but I did just verify in the code that that was indeed not translated. And someone in chat is saying German. No match still. Okay, still needs work. So I'm going to go ahead and call it there then. This will be a work in progress, probably doing it well Eurovision. Okay, awesome. Cool. That's all we're going to cover today. Thank you so much for joining me on this exploration of LOTRO plugins, abbreviated though it was. Ordrio says, fun story, my Twitch name is the name of my very first character in this game. It sounds like a valid in-game name, definitely. Okay, cool. Well, Mordell, come on back next week. Have some more. Have some more LOTRO. Shai says, sadly, my Quebecy skills stop at French. Don't know anything about German. No worries. Aaron Bard, thank you as well. All right. Hope to see you all here again next week. And until then, keep plugging along. All right. Bye-bye now.